Hello everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So today I am finally taking a look at Raven, Daughter of Darkness, issue 1. So this is a 12-issue miniseries. It's been going for a little while. It isn't wrapped up yet, but I think they're on issue 7 or 8. I'd been meaning to review this for a while, and I'm finally getting around to it. So let's see, some of the people who worked on this. This was written by Marv Wolfman. So he's a very famous writer, of course, been around forever. He wrote Crisis on Infinite Earths. Let's see, the artist on this who did the interior art is Pop Man. The colorist is Laverne Kindersky, and the letterer is Sade Tamafonte, and the cover is by Yannick Paquette. So Nathan Fairburn did the colors, and there's an alternate cover by Bill Sienkiewicz. So the main cover here is really good. I like it a lot. I think that was one of the main selling points, really. I like the coloring on it a lot, too. I think it looks really cool. It's almost all purple, little yellow text, and I just think the way she's drawn looks really good. So, yeah, it was a really dynamic cover. I was really drawn to. What held me up on reviewing this was it was actually sold out. I was going to buy a physical copy of this at the time, and I finally got around to just getting it on digital. So we'll go ahead and start off on the first page. Now the first page is actually a little bit of a letdown. I didn't think the art on this particular page was that good. The rest of the issue has better art for the most part, but this was real generic, kind of dull. It shows a bunch of technicians working, and they have a blackout, and then something in their basement basically wakes up. So they're doing some kind of experiments, but the art is just real bland, like this hallway and stairwell is just really generic looking. So then the scene changes, and already things are a little more interesting looking. So there's this character here. He's named Baron Winters. So apparently he's in charge of keeping track of the good and evil and the magic balance, and he has this cat here named Merlin, who's a pretty cool character. So anyways, they're talking about Raven, and then we finally see Raven herself on the third page or so. So this is where it starts to turn into kind of like a young adult teen focused book. She's there with her friends. There's 6 of them, and they're teenagers, and they just kind of talk about teenager stuff. I found this part to be really kind of boring, but I understand the appeal. I think overall this book was probably geared towards someone Raven's age, and for me, parts like this were just kind of boring. But it does show her character development, so that's always good. And the art on it's perfectly fine. It's just a group of kids talking, though, for several pages, so it's kind of boring. So then there's this scene of a girl being chased through the forest, and she's being shot at. So then Raven sends out her, Raven essence to go check it out. And then, so the girl's running, and she's getting chased by all these soldiers with guns, and it's looking pretty bad for her. But then it looks like there's an earthquake, but it turns out it's just an illusion. So the soldiers have some kind of special goggles. I guess they were prepared for this, and they put them on and keep going. So ultimately the girl gets hit by this guy who's hiding, and he puts a helmet on her to dampen her powers. But then Raven shows up, and as you can see here, she thrashes all the soldiers. Pretty epic. Her powers are no joke, and she starts to check things out, and she sees that the helmet is empty now, so she's looking for the girl. And then there's this real crazy scene where Trigon Hops Up, and both her and Baron Winter see it and sense it, so she goes and attacks, but it turns out it's just an illusion. So this girl that she's trying to help uses illusions and is really powerful with those. So Raven loses track of her, and she flies and looks around a little more, but gives up and flies back to the beach with her friends. So I thought that was kind of a cool little scene. I liked that part of the book. So then Raven goes and visits her aunt and uncle. So there's a little just kind of family stuff. Raven never grew up with regular stuff, so she's asking about Christmas and these Christmas ornaments and things she's never seen. And then she does a little bit of a detective story. So that was a cool turn too, I thought. So she goes back to where she was last night and checks out the trucks that were smashed up and finds out where they came from. And she actually talks a little bit about how this is something Robin had taught her to do. So I thought that was a cool little thing for them to include. So she goes to the base the trucks came from, and she's expecting all the soldiers to be there, and they're there, but they've been all incapacitated, so they're knocked out, just laying there unconscious. She goes up and reads the mind of one of them, and it turns out the girl she was helping earlier is named Azure, and she's the one that did this to them. So then she is attacked by the illusions again, but she knows they aren't real, so she just goes through it. She sees Trigon, and then a bunch of ghouls try and get her, and she just goes through it and goes past them all, and then she sees Azure. So Azure's wearing this hood, and she pulls the hood back, and then we get this big reveal at the very end, it's the last page, and you see Azure doesn't have any mouth or nose, and she just has these giant eyes. So that's pretty interesting, and this is actually the first appearance of that character. So if you bought this comic, you own a first appearance of Azure. So that's how the issue ends. I thought it was okay. It was pretty interesting. I think if I were a younger reader, it would probably really appeal to me, but it wasn't terrible. And at first, actually, I read it and I didn't like it too much, but I read it again and I thought it was okay. So this would be probably a recommend if you're a Raven fan. Overall, though, it's probably like a 6 for me. So good enough that I'm going to go ahead and check out the second issue, and I'll have a review of that out hopefully real soon as well. So that's all for now. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this issue. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell for notifications. And as always, thank you for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.
End of line.